Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Octant community meeting. This is a community meeting that we run every second Tuesday of every month. This is the last Octant meeting of the decade, and we will see you all next decade, which is 2020, so in January. But to start off, we got a bunch of stuff that we want to cover here, so thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to share my screen so you can see the HackMD notes, and I'm also going to share them in the chat so you can look at them and add. If you have any questions, you can add them there, or you can just speak up as well if you have any questions or comments. Let me share my screen. There we go. So to start off with, we are, of course, working on a next release. Yeah, maybe Wayne or Sam want to talk a little about what's happening in the next release.
Yeah, sure. I'll be happy to do that. So thanks, Jonas. So we are still working on our O.10 release. We had previously planned to kind of release that around mid-November, and then we decided that we actually wanted to add a few more features to it, just to make it something that was had a little more meat on it than just some bug fixes in like one feature. So the current release is going to contain there's PRs up for this right now, so you can go check those out if you want. I'll see if I can get the numbers up so I can reference them as I talk about it. But there is a simplified workload view that is going to be in the next release. That's PR number 452. That will kind of allow people to view and display things that are labeled appropriately as workloads. And by labeled appropriately, we mean follows the Kubernetes standard for application, recommendations for application labels. So that is currently up for review and should be merged in very soon. Sam and I have been working on basically a terminal shell, and there was some demos of that at KubeCon, and I think we might have did a demo of it last. I can't remember. Anyway, this basically allows you to open up and execute multiple commands to your pods. These can be interactive or one-off commands. The buffers of those are stored until you dismiss them. They are not stored between restarts of Octant. They're ephemeral in nature, but all of the output is there, so you can copy and paste it as you're going through and running these commands, and then you can dismiss those terminals as you no longer need them. So that is coming in the next release. And then the other thing that we are hopefully going to get into, I think we will, is there's a quick switcher implementation that is coming from Alex, who came up with this kind of idea to have the ability to quick switch between different areas of Octant. That's PR number 434, and there's a little demo video there of that as well. Those of you who are familiar with IDE tools and stuff like that will be right at home with some type of quick switching thing for Octant. So yeah, those are the main three big features that we're hoping to
That's actually that's a very cool feature. Thanks for Alex Brandt. That's awesome.
Yeah. So these are the three features that we will be getting into O.10. O.10 will come out before the end of the year. And there will be a nice blog post that kind of outlines all of these features and goes into some detail on them. And we'll probably have some suggested use for the features and show just how they work and how you can take advantage of them. So that is, I think that's pretty much it for this current release update. So any questions there? Or Sam, do you have anything to add? Cool. There are a bunch of various bug fixes and small little quality of life fixes that are also going into O.10. They're pretty numerous and have been just kind of steadily flowing in. So I won't call all of those out, but they will be in the change log when we release.
Cool. Awesome. Then we want to talk about plugins.
Yes. So a couple people have asked about plugins and the kind of state of things and where they're at. So we wanted to give a brief rundown of that. So the current state of the plugin ecosystem is it's very new. So there's not, I wouldn't say there really is an ecosystem yet. That is what is currently forming around plugins. So we did create this topic in GitHub, which is Octant-plugin, which we're encouraging people who are creating plugins and authoring them to tag their repos with, so that we are able to find them. There will be I think there was an issue created for plugin wish lists, which is kind of, we're encouraging people to, let me see if I can find that so I can put it in the agenda. But what we're doing is we're encouraging people to kind of go and say, hey, it would be nice if this plugin existed, so that people who are interested in maybe creating plugins can come by and see that, and then kind of go and look at authoring a plugin. So I am not sure if that issue did get created, but we will create that today and encourage folks to contribute their ideas for what might be a useful plugin there. The other part of this is that we currently do not maintain or really have any plans to maintain like a curated or official list of Octant plugins until we get closer to 1.0. The reason for that is because we just don't have the capacity to do such a thing right now, especially as the plugins ecosystem is kind of evolving and changing rapidly. So as things start to solidify around plugins, including the API itself, we will be taking a more hands-on approach to what plugins are maybe listed as, I don't know, I don't want to say official, but as recommended as useful plugins for Octant. So as it stands now, the Octant-plugin topic is the best way to kind of see quickly what's out there. Also, I've found a few plugins that just aren't listed there. If you search, if you search GitHub for like Octant plugin, you'll get some random work that people are doing as well. We do want plugin feedback, and we want people to be making them and tell us where the pain points are in the API. I know every time I've created a plugin, I notice something that I want to change and make easier. So those ideas are there. Some of the things that are quickly at the top of my head around plugins are making it easier for a plugin to create links to other places within Octant. Right now, it's you kind of have to know a lot of the internal knowledge of Octant and how it generates URLs to be able to link to a resource. That shouldn't be the case. Plugins should be able to just say, hey, I want to link to a pod of this ID or whatever, or any resource of this ID, resource and identifier, and that should be able to generate a link within Octant. So that's one that came up recently. And then also the ability for plugins to take advantage of all of our components that we offer. That includes things like embedding custom actions into their components. Some components right now are not accessible to plugins, specifically things like the new terminal view that we're adding, and there was one other that I'm failing to recall right now. But making sure that all of our components are accessible to plugins is another thing that's going to be important to us, and continuing to add the components that are available through Clarity. For those that don't know, we use Clarity as our UI library, and so there is a eventual goal as people request them or as they are needed. We will be adding components from Clarity to Octant so that people can create their plugins to kind of match anything that's available in Clarity. If it's not in Clarity, outside of graphing, if it's not in Clarity, unless there is a very, very good case for it, it likely will not be added to Octant. So just keep that in mind as you're building plugins. And yeah, I think that's That's it for plugins.
Awesome. So we
Any
got a
questions
question.
on that?
Yeah, so we got a question here from Gary. Gary, do you want to unmute and ask, or?
Yeah, I was just wondering, you'd mentioned you wanted us to tag any repos that we're dealing with plugins somehow so that you see it. Are you looking for git tag or a label, or what are you looking for?
Oh yeah, so in GitHub, it's so multiple source control tools have these topics that you can add to repositories. There's currently one already exists in GitHub, but I know some of the other public Git management tools have this as well. But it's just it's within the actual GitHub itself of adding, not on your repo, but just within GitHub itself, or whatever
Okay, thanks.
whatever source management tool you're using.
Thanks, that helps.
All right, and I see we actually have one other plugin creator here as well, the Blood Orange Octant Helm plugin on the call here. So thank you for joining.
Hello.
Howdy. All right, so moving on to the next item here, GitHub Actions. Sam, why are we moving over to GitHub Actions?
Yeah, I can speak a little bit to that. So there are two main reasons. The first one is really GitHub Actions can do everything that Drone and most of what Circle CI can already do. And so this would allow us to consolidate our CI pipelines a little bit better, because currently we are trying to do several things with our CI pipelines in different places. We want to make sure it builds. We are running our end-to-end tests, and we also have to also run our unit testing. And so having those exist on different places sometimes just leads to just duplicates of build steps or just more places for things to fail. And I think even Circle CI right now, caching is not on. So moving to GitHub Actions, we get that back for free. And so I'm pretty confident that we can move everything over with relatively smoothly over the next couple of weeks. The question is just a matter of when and how we're prioritizing the workloads. The part that I want to focus on a little bit better is the state of the end-to-end tests, because it's something that we've struggled with, and I think we will probably continue to struggle with them, but they are fairly brittle, and hopefully by moving over pipelines, we get a chance to inspect that a little bit more closely and reduce test flakes. Because right now, I think it still flakes out from time to time, and adding retries as a Band-Aid isn't really the best solution. But I think we can do better on that end.
So do you see any issues moving over to GitHub Actions compared to what we're using today with Circle CI?
Yeah, I think the two issues that I want to look into is whether or not it allows exposing a Docker host. So how well we can run a kind cluster or even Minikube and be able to connect to it in a CI pipeline. And the second one is just how reliable the build agents are. And I don't really have, I don't have a good sense of it. I'm pretty sure it's good, but I'd have to make sure that it's just not going to take a really long time just to spin up a build agent.
All right, sounds good. Any questions regarding GitHub Actions here? All right, so we're going to move into open Q&A, which means that anyone can ask whatever you want from the Octant devs and the Octant maintainers here. Well, relating to Octant, I mean. So yeah, if you have any questions, any comments, anything you want to discuss with them, please just unmute and chat.
We've succinctly answered all of their questions in advance, so now there are none to be taken live.
That works too. Yeah, if there aren't any more questions or comments right now, gonna end the meeting early and give people back some more time. You know where you can find us. Hit us up on Slack if you have any questions or comments. Yeah, and with that, thank you all for joining. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Thanks, everyone.